It's always been a challenge for me to figure out when I identified that I was gay. And I think there was no frame of reference back in small town Alberta in the 60s. Like there was no announcement by Trudeau. That happened a couple of years after I was in the force. I would have still been illegal if I had been out and gay, but I had not. I had the usual, you know, fooling around with a buddy once or twice, but thought of it just as that what it was. So I think my frame of reference was very much what I'd been socialized to believe, and that's the the typical case of internalized homophobia almost comes from that type of upbringing where you don't even recognize what it is that you're feeling or doing. As far as how my gayness related to my RCMP work, it it was almost like an evolution of place and time where I was allowed to change my status and allowed to be who I was. Because about the same time that my marriage dissolved, I then took the brave act of seeing if I was gay and actually just being so paranoid about it. I was in Victoria then, took a ferry to Vancouver, drove down to Seattle to go to a bathhouse and met someone there, and then dated a person in Seattle for 2 years on weekends. So I had this very strange relationship where I was a bachelor in Victoria, but spent a lot of time traveling to the US, and you never had to tell anyone. By then I was in administration in Victoria. I was out of field police work then. So again, it was like an office job then. It was 9 to 5, and I went 9 to 5 for the rest of my RCM career after that. So I went 9 to 5 then, which allowed me to have weekends off. And I go to Seattle. I'd see my buddy and experience a bit of the gay life in Seattle. No one knew me in Seattle. We could go to bars. We could have a good time. It was the late late 70s then, getting into the 80s. So it was a good time to be gay and out, but I wasn't out, but I could be out in Seattle. So it was a interesting, very solid double life. I went to the office one Monday morning, and my officer in charge called me in. I was the head of finance for Ontario in the RCMP then. So the head financial or the head of finance and administration called me in and said, very simply, he said, Wayne, you were seen in a gay bar on the weekend. Why were you in a gay bar? And I have no idea. I guess I was just so tired of being in the closet. And I just said, well, I was in a gay bar because I was gay. I'm gay. The feeling at the time was almost a numbness. Like it felt very surreal to me, because the working relationship, like, this was a guy that I worked with every day. And when he calls me in my office, it's not usually to say you're fired, right? Or you're out of here. So the whole thing kind of dumbfounded me, because it was such a betrayal of the individual, because we worked so well together and he was my boss and we never had any conflict, and the organization that I've been with for 18 years. And it was so unexpected. I think I was able to respond because so quickly I felt confident that I was respected enough, that the organization had moved on enough, that what I heard and knew about it almost couldn't be true in 1980, 85, right? Or 86. It couldn't be true that you're actually going to get fired for being gay. So I was a bit dumbfounded. So it was really surreal to me, because it was almost like some sort of set of dominoes collapsing. It's like, okay, I'll say this and he'll say that. Oh, wait a minute. He didn't respond the way I thought he'd respond, right? Like I was just very casual. I was in a gay bar because I'm gay. Like, doesn't everybody know I'm gay? It was very, very bizarre for me. Then, of course, that's immediately followed by the great fear of, oh, what do I do now? Like, I'm now unemployed. This goes through your head immediately. Like, it is a big collapse. it's immediate, almost immediate that what does it mean? I'd never been out of work since I was 16 years old, right? And there I am almost 40, and it's really getting a rug pulled out from under you, right? And you just don't know what you're going to do, where you're going to turn. I was numb. I guess the best description would be, I was numb when I left that office, because I really didn't know where to go or what to do. I was out of the office by the end of the day. I went back to the office two more times. I went back to return all of my gear, my badge, my revolver, all of my equipment and uniform. And one more time, many months later, when my boys that were my crew and my staff, the public service staff, and all of the corporals that worked under me, invited me back for a going away lunch, because they were resentful that I'd been left on such short notice. Not resentful of me, but they wanted to. I always like to think they were making a statement to the organization. I think what I want people to not learn so much, everyone can learn from this experience. I think what I want people to know is that things have changed, things can change. Perseverance, certainly perseverance helps, but nothing happens easily. You know, the fight is not done for all sorts of rights. I mean, we see it in racism, we see it in colonialism, we see it in LGBTQ, we see it in trans rights. We see it everywhere. I think what people have to learn is, we always say, young people, don't get it. They do get it. They just get it in a very different way, and they're very active. I think the lesson learned is, don't take it for granted. We aren't sitting here today where we are because people sat back and said, oh, it'll look after itself. It won't look after itself. Be diligent, be out there, be supportive of people that aren't as fortunate as you, right? Take the privilege and use it if you have privilege. If you don't have privilege, strive to get privilege, and support people that are not as fortunate as you.